The following program is sponsored by the Medicine Center Pharmacies. You're listening to News Talk 1480 WHBC and Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacies. Now, here's your host, Paul White.
Good morning and welcome to Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy. I am your pharmacist, Paul White. We're glad you joined us. Before we begin, I'd like to thank our sponsor, Altman Health System. Today, Brad and I are broadcasting from our administrative offices, and our special guest is Chaplain Joseph Kampert with Altman Health System in hospice, palliative care, men's grief group, and grief newsletter. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right, we'd like to
as a guest this morning.
All right, we'd like to remind our listeners today our program is available on our podcast. You can download it from your favorite podcast app. Just look for Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy, and please subscribe to our program. If you have suffered a loss or you want to help someone who's grieving, turn to Altman Grief Services. The variety of free services and resources are there to guide you through this grieving process and let the healing begin.
Okay, so good morning again, Chaplain Kampert. I know you have a tough job. Tell us about yourself and your work with Altman Health System in hospice, palliative care, and grief services.
Well, to start, I can tell you that I'm blessed to have a wonderful wife. We've been married 45 years with 3 amazing children, Jamie, Mandy, and Joshua, with 8 wonderful grandkids, 4 boys, 4 girls, and we just had the 1 great grandson. So it's a little bit about my home life, and my work allows me to journey with families with our hospice and palliative care programs. You know, we're blessed to offer the families our grief services, and what we have is different programs for them depending on where they're at in their grief. And I have the privilege to help with our newsletter, our grief newsletter, our men's grief group that meets once a month, and various other programs that we have available. So it's a privilege to be there for others in the most critical time of their life. Their world's been just turned upside down. So it's a blessing and a privilege to be a part of Altman's program.
So what can you tell us about typical grief?
You know, grief, just typical grief, is a natural way that we all cope with our loss. Grief affects us physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and even socially. You know, we got to understand that grief is not a disorder. It's not a disease, and it's not a sign of weakness. It's an emotional, physical, spiritual necessity. See, when we grieve, we often have intense feelings of either disbelief, can't believe it's happening, shock, despair, sadness, and even guilt that can be very hard to deal with. These feelings are just a normal part of the healing process. Experiencing them and just allowing yourself that minute to grieve, it allows you to move forward. You see, it's the price we pay for love. And the only cure for grief that I'm aware of is simply to grieve, the grieving process.
Is there something that can help us with the healing process related to grief and loss?
I believe support from each other. We draw strength from that. And it's one of the most important things of healing. And you know, that support comes from close friends, grief counselors, social workers, chaplains, grief support groups, and maybe other family members or friends. And also it's our faith community, I think, is very important to us. as we walk through that.
Can you talk about what holiday grief is all about?
You know, holidays kind of complicate things. We're already grieving. We're already experiencing that loss. And the holidays kind of make grieving the death of a loved one even more challenging. The holidays signify time together. And we realize that there's some members that are not physically going to be here with us, and someone is missing. And I've heard it said that the first holiday season can feel like a bad dream, like a nightmare that you can't simply wake up from. Looking back on it, I think it's kind of, to me, it's kind of like a blur. Not realizing what's really happening the first holiday that you were walking through this.
What are some of the common holidays that can trigger grief thoughts and feelings?
You know, there's a lot of triggers in the grief process alone. And what I mean by a trigger is something that you don't anticipate, something that you could be walking through the grocery store and see their favorite snack, or the things that just bring back a memory and you begin to cry right there in the aisle. Maybe another trigger would be a song that comes on that was their favorite song, or it meant a lot to them, and it just brings a tear to your eyes. Triggers are just things that happen to us unexpectedly. And the common holidays that trigger grief might be Thanksgiving, Christmas, Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day. These are common holidays. But if we drill down a little bit, they're personal days. They're personal days for us. Days like birthdays that we remember of our loved one, and even anniversaries can cause a trigger, overwhelming. So the more we're aware of these dates, the more we're aware of what causes these things to happen, we can at least think about that before that date comes. So we're a little bit more prepared. It's not going to stop it, but maybe it helps prepare you for the moment.
So how do holidays make grief more challenging and difficult?
Well, let's say a family comes over for Thanksgiving or Christmas. Most of the time, your friends and family, they're not going to know if it's okay to mention your loved one's name. In fact, it could get a little bit awkward because they don't want to cause you any more grief. So if you're okay with having them talk about it, sharing a memory, sharing a thought, I think it's important for you to find a way to bring a comment up, maybe a memory or story, because in most cases, if you don't bring that person's name up, the rest of the family around the table might find it a little bit difficult and challenging to know if they should share or not, because they certainly don't want to bring any more grief to you. Basically, by bringing up your loved one's name, you're actually giving them permission to share. It loosens it up a little bit and allows them simply to share a story or a memory. And I've heard it said that some people even put maybe an empty seat at the table with a picture of their loved one, just honoring them. So the holidays certainly make it more challenging and difficult.
Shall we break now, Brad?
Yep, we can do that.
Okay. All right. It's time for our first break. You're listening to Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy. Welcome back to Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy. Are you ready for vaccine season? Stop in or schedule your pneumonia, Tdap, or shingles vaccine online at meditshoprx.com. So, what is the Grievers Holiday Bill of Rights?
A guy by the name of Bruce Conley came up with this, and he has 10 different items he shares in the Grievers Holiday Bill of Rights. And the first one goes that you have the right to say time out anytime you need to, and that's important. Time out to blow off some steam, to step away from the holidays, and maybe start over. You have the right to tell it like it is. When people ask you, how are you? You have the right to tell them how you really feel, and not just what you think they want to hear. You have the right to have some bah humbug days. You have the right to be jolly all the time. You're not a bad person just because you don't feel like singing Christmas carols or being a part of that celebration. You have the right to do things differently. There's nothing that says that you always have to do the holidays the same. You have the right to be where you want to be at home or with relatives, but wherever you choose to be. You have the right to change directions in midstream. Grief at the holidays is very unpredictable. You may be all ready to go somewhere or to do something, and suddenly you just feel overwhelmed with emotion. When that happens, it's okay to change your mind. You have the right to have some fun. Don't be afraid of what others will say when they see you laughing or having a good time. Laughter is every bit important as the tears. You have the right to do things different at different times. Maybe go to church, open presents, or serve a meal at different times. You have the right to rest, to some peace and solitude. Take the time to play, meditate, and recharge your spirit. You don't need to be busy all the time. Take a nap whenever you need one. And the last one he writes is you have the right to do it all different again next year.
That's pretty lengthy. That's pretty lengthy. Very interesting. Wow. So, how is it possible to plan ahead for the holidays when you're grieving?
I've been an advocate of having a personal holiday plan, and I can share just a few ideas with you. If you take a piece of paper and write this down and or just think about it, I predict the most difficult parts of the holiday season for me is going to be what? And maybe just jot them down. And then my support people are, and you should know who your go-to people are. Maybe there's only one that you can really trust. And then another thought might be write down the most difficult people for me to be around. Or see, grief triggers might be, and you could jot them down, things that you've experienced, things that just come out of nowhere. And there's nothing that you can do or say. It just overwhelms you with emotion. So, and then maybe last you can put down on paper, this year I want to include the following traditions in my holidays. See, it's okay to change them. They don't have to be the same as they ever were. Maybe it's just doing one thing different, but if you have something down in writing, some type of a holiday plan, it may help you with some of the triggers.
Well, it sounds like those are a lot of good strategies. Do you have any other strategies to help us with the holidays?
I do. Some of the things that we are not mindful when it comes to us. Sometimes we put ourselves on the back burner. So I would say this: be patient with yourself. See, you're in charge of your own grief. Be realistic. Be kind and gentle to yourself. Plan ahead. Your so what list. My personal plans for the holidays. Talk to family. And then listen to yourself as you're sharing. Because sometimes when we talk, we use other things or other people as a sounding board. We can hear ourselves talk. Ask for help when you need it. Sometimes talking to a counselor, a pastor, some family member is not always the best go-to person. Why? Because sometimes they tell you what they want you to hear. They see you're hurting. They want you to be the person that you once was. And we all know that's not possible. We're forever changed. So you need to just take care of yourself, and don't be afraid to make some changes in traditions, and be careful of overspending. I would advocate don't make any drastic changes your first year. Allow yourself time to cry. And for the men out there, we were embedded since we were children. When we fall and scrape our knees, we were told to suck it up. It doesn't hurt. You know, and men don't cry. And see, we need time to release them feelings inside, to experience our emotions that would come out each and every day. And I would also tell you to smile. See, laughter is very important. It's just as important as the tears. Even in the Bible, it tells us in Proverbs that it acts like a medicine, a good medicine. And share your holiday, or maybe help somebody in need. We've all heard it said before that, you know, it's better to give than to receive. And sometimes even just for a moment, if we're able to help somebody in need, it can just lift us up a little bit. Work on your depression and or anxiety. You know, there are grief groups available, and also grief counselors that can help. And some days you may not feel the time to get out of bed. Maybe you just want to lay there. And I would advocate it's okay. But just don't get stuck there. Know when it's time to reach out for help. Find a way to recognize your loss and honor the life of your loved one.
So I'm excited to learn a little bit more about the so what list.
Okay, here we go. It's helpful if you take the time to establish some priorities in your holidays moving forward. So you can label a piece of paper, so what? And what I mean by that is if you create a list of things that you want to do this year, things that you're willing to try, maybe number them 1 through 10, okay? In the importance of the level of that event. Maybe it's going to a candlelight service, or maybe it's going to a Thanksgiving dinner, or whatever it might be. Maybe it's putting some decorations up, whatever you think that it might be. But just start with 10. And anything other than what's on your list, I refer to that as just so what. Drop everything else that you once did and forget about it with any regrets. Here's some examples of what your list might look like, okay? Attending a Christmas Eve service, maybe a concert, maybe a kids' church program, maybe a Christmas party, maybe a school concert, maybe baking cookies, maybe caroling, volunteering somewhere, decorating inside, outside, attending or hosting Christmas dinner, or maybe it's a New Year's celebration, sending out Christmas cards to family, friends, neighbors, or putting up a Christmas tree. It's just maybe taking the kids or grandkids to see Santa, Christmas shopping, and I don't mean Amazon, taking kids and grandkids to maybe see a movie, take them Christmas shopping, and maybe driving around the neighborhood, seeing some neighbors' decorations. Some of them really get into it. But I think everything else that you don't put on your list, you just say, so what? Does it really matter? No regrets, these are the things I want to do. And just number them 1 through 10. Listen, because you're in charge of your own grief. So what other people think? After about 50 years ago, there was a Swiss psychiatrist, Kubler-Ross, first introduced her 5 stages, her model on death and dying. She came up with 5 stages of grief: shock, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. And some of us may begin with anger, then bargaining, then shock. And you know what? We might start all over again. There's no correct order to grieving. There's been papers published for 6 and 7 stages of grief too. Grief's just so unique and so different to each and every one of us. So I believe your grief process is influenced by 3 things: by who you are, how you were raised, and your life experiences in this world, the choices maybe that you've made. And so what other people think or say about how you're handling your grief this year, because it's yours. You own it. You're in charge of it each and every day.
Okay, we made it to the bottom of the hour. Our second break is here. Thanks for joining us this morning on Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy. You're listening to Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy. I'm your host and pharmacist, Paul White. This morning, we're talking with Chaplain Joseph Kampert. Excellent program.
You know, I wanted to comment one more little ditty on your so what list. I like to think of it in an additional layer of things. So when life gives you something bad, sometimes you just need to say so what and shake it off and move on. And so whether it's the excluding it from your list because you don't have an interest, or whether it's because it's raining today, so what? You know, we can do other things and enjoy our time and be grateful for it, right?
Excellent.
So, but moving on. So we haven't talked about this yet. How about our kids? How can we help grieving children through the holidays?
One of the keys is to plan and allow input from all family members. Children, they need a lot of love and reassurance. So keep routines as normal as possible. I think that brings stability, and it's less confusing for the kids that could bring up different emotions at different times. They just need to try to keep things as normal as possible. Try to relax and be in the present with the kids. They need to know that they're just as special as the person who died. If there's some things that maybe you plan to do this season and they don't get done, give yourself permission to maybe try it again next year. It's okay to have the kids see you cry. It's a release of emotions that you're sad, and it's okay to share that with your family, your children, and maybe hang up a stocking in your loved one's name and allow everyone maybe just to put something in it that reminded them of him or her. Maybe you put up a tree and allow them to hang up an ornament or something special in their name. Maybe purchase a special candle, or maybe make one together with the children, a memory candle, and maybe light it on special occasions throughout the year. Just remember that grief is an individual response, as we all grieve in so many different ways.
So is it okay to celebrate the holidays?
It's okay not to. I think trying to figure that out is certainly a struggle. If you want just to celebrate the holidays with no decorations, or maybe some, you're in control. So just share your feelings with the family. I think a lot of times we don't keep it real as we should. They ask us, oh, can I put the tree up? And you just go along with it. And you really don't want the tree up. You just need to express your feelings truly with the family, what's going on. No, I'd rather not this year. I'm not able to do that. Oh, we'll do it for you. and then they put the tree up and leave, and then you just look at that tree and say, why did I let them do it? We just need to keep things real in life and grief, and just be honest with yourself, what you're able to do, what you're not able to do. And if you're able to celebrate, do it. If not, that's okay too.
So what does it mean to set boundaries?
Boundaries are healthy boundaries. You can either participate or not in whatever you feel is right for you. You might feel some pressure to attend a certain family gathering, a holiday party, maybe a children's concert or school or church. But I would advocate this. Remember always to drive yourself when possible. Sometimes we think we're ready to attend an event, and then we get in our car and we pull up to that place, and the emotions just overwhelm us and we just drive away. I would say good for you that you tried. But if you don't allow yourself time to drive yourself, it could be a awkward moment for the person who drove you, because you don't want to shortchange their experience of having fun. So we need to drive ourselves, if and when possible, to all events, because we're in charge of our own grief, and that would help us out a lot.
How can grief be part of healing?
Well, we've all heard it said that time has a way of healing all things. And I can tell you that's not true. Time doesn't heal pain that's associated with a loss. See, grief is like a void. It's like a hole in each and every one of us. It's love unexpressed. It's the pain that we feel when we're constantly trying to escape it. So I would just say that the healing comes, it's going to look different. Maybe next year you'll pull out better memories. It seems like the memories of the good times kind of come to the surface after a while. And for each and every one, it's different. Healing is different for each and every one of us. You could be doing really good and then all of a sudden have a relapse and it starts all over again. Don't judge your feelings. They're not right or wrong. It's just how you feel in that particular moment. So be patient with yourself as we all go through this.
So what are a few suggestions to help with the first Thanksgiving without a loved one?
Well, let's say your loved one was the one who carved the turkey. I think it's important, as I keep saying, plan ahead, plan ahead. It's important because if you wait to Thanksgiving to feel that, maybe look ahead and say, maybe this person can carve the turkey this year, and ask them before the dinner starts or maybe a couple days before. Consider that vacant role of the loved one. And maybe dad always dressed up to play Santa, or Aunt Angie always cut the turkey. It's just planning ahead to try to avoid some of the triggers. You're not going to avoid them all, but planning certainly helps reduce some of them. Honor them with a story or a picture, something funny, something sad. We honor them by celebrating their life and making more memories. You know, it's a tradition, and it could change the way we feel we're able to handle them.
What does it mean to focus on what you can control?
Well, we've all heard the Serenity Prayer, right? It's well known, and it was written by an American theologian, Reynold Niebuhr, in the early 1930s, and he writes, God give us the grace to accept the serenity, the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and which we should change, and the wisdom to distinguish the one from another. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting the hardships as a pathway to peace. taking as Jesus did, this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, and trusting that you will make things right when I surrender to your will, so that I may be happy in this life and supremely happy with you forever in the next. That's the whole serenity prayer. I think a lot of people whittle it down just to the first half, but see, there's many times that we spend too much time and energy on things that are just simply out of our control. So you may be subjected to Christmas music in a waiting room of a doctor's office or a pharmacy, or maybe overhearing other people talk about the holiday plans. You can't prevent these things from happening, but there are some things that we can control. And think about what you can do to lessen the heartache when you can. It's okay to limit your decoration or to shop for presents, however you feel you're able to at that time. But just pick a few things that you can insert some control over during the holidays.
Do you have any suggestions on how we can honor memories of our loved ones through the holidays?
Consider making a memorial out of the loved one, either outside your home, inside your home, outside might be a flower garden, or their favorite flowers, or maybe a special memorial inside the home. You can make a donation in their memory, in their honor. Maybe sitting at the table, you can make a toast in their honor, bringing them up. Maybe make a memorial candle. Or here's one, even create an Advent calendar with pictures out of a photo album. Start at December 1st with some of the wonderful pictures and memories that you've had. Maybe plant a tree of a new life to commemorate the meaning of the life that you shared together. You can invite friends, family to have light refreshments after a ceremony that you're going to have in their honor. But it's simply what you're able to do and what you're not able to do.
So how can I know what feelings are right or wrong for me? And maybe, is it worth just maybe commenting on when we might need to think about talking to someone else to make sure that we kind of check in with ourselves to make sure we're all right?
That's a good point, because I think if I would remind all of us, talking to family may be a little difficult and challenging, because they're going to tell us what they think we want to hear. They don't want to see us in a different place. They want to see us to be that person we once was. And struggling with our feelings, maybe it's a good thing to talk to a counselor, a social worker, a pastor, a chaplain, somebody that has no personal interest, that's going to just be in the moment with you. They're going to journey with you. And I think feelings brings on a lot, right? Joy, guilt, sadness, so much, all maybe within a few minutes. So you don't judge your feelings, is what I'm trying to say. You have to try to be in the moment. Don't judge them, because in a few minutes you could feel different. Maybe tomorrow you'll have a different take on it. So don't get caught up in judging your feelings right or wrong. They're not right or wrong. It's just simply how you feel about it in the moment.
Okay, it's time for our final break. You're listening to Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy. Welcome back to Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy. I'm your pharmacist, Paul White. Thank you for joining us this morning. Let's get back to the last segment of the show. So, if I find it hard to go back to the same church, are there any alternatives?
Yes, I think it's very important for us to hold on to our faith. Don't stop attending church because you think it's going to be very difficult. For maybe the people that you run into coming up to you saying, "Oh, how are you doing?" And maybe you don't want to go through that. I would advocate that there's a lot of different churches out there of like faith. Don't dismiss your faith because you don't think you can do it. I think it's very important. There's other churches that you can consider, and maybe one day you can return to that church that you've always attended. But maybe right now you're just not ready for that. Don't dismiss it. Just find a way to attend a program, especially I think the candlelight services, if you've ever attended them, they're great. Bring a lot of good memories back, and always drive yourself if you're able to, because you can get up and leave at any time. You're not going to impose on anybody else. So that might be something to keep in mind.
What can we do to take care of ourselves during the holidays?
I think it's important for all of us to acknowledge our feelings and not avoid them. If you're honest with yourself and don't judge your feelings, you're going to experience both negative and positive feelings during the holidays. Be kind to yourself and remember that the feelings can coexist. For example, I can miss the person and enjoy the holiday at the same time. I may be tempted to close yourself in and try to forget the holidays, but when we're hurting the most, there's going to be times that it just feels like a bad dream or maybe a nightmare, and you can't sleep. You toss and turn in bed, and it's just something that I've always looked at the bed as a place to sleep. If you're tossing and turning, you need to get out of bed. You're not doing nothing but spending energy. Your mind's going crazy. You need to get up, maybe read a chapter in a book, maybe put something on TV that you don't want to watch. Maybe read a chapter or two in the book. Maybe exercise. Do something to release some energy from your body so that you get a little more tired. Then you go to bed. Beds are made for sleeping. And if you're having a trouble and exhausting time just flipping like a pancake, get out of bed. Try to go do something. Something different. It might change the way your body is or your feelings or your emotions at that time.
Okay. What can we say when people tell us, just move on already?
Nobody likes to see you grieving. Nobody likes to see a family member, a loved one, a friend. Nobody wants to see you hurting. So, but the other side is society's not really schooled on death and grief. They don't know what to say, and they don't mean to be hurtful, but sometimes they just want you to be the person that you once was. And we know that's not possible because we're changed forever. And we just have to take that with a grain of salt and understand that they're not trying to hurt you. They're just, they don't know. And I would say for all of us, sometimes words aren't necessary. It's just being there with people in a supportive presence as they're grieving.
All right. Well, what about let's talk about starting some new holiday traditions. Any tips on that?
I think it's a good time to reassess what your traditions may be. We've all come from traditions when we first get married and step out in life. We so want to change everything, and we start down a path that we have so many different traditions that we want to try. Well, this is no different. You're changed. You're forever changed. So starting new traditions in life isn't a bad thing. If you're able just to put up a tree with no ornaments, great. If you don't want to put a tree up, that's okay too. If you want to do some things that you've tried in honor of them, maybe something special. And maybe you want to keep things very limited this year. Whatever makes you feel right in your heart, it's the right thing to do. You're your best counselor. You're your best person who knows how you feel. You just got to listen to yourself and keep things real.
Okay. What about any tips for what we can do if we're feeling stuck in a rut or just depressed overall?
Listen, depression is real. Don't be afraid to ask for help when you're struggling with the holidays. Like I said before, sometimes you might want to just lay in bed all day. Today is a good example, right? It's raining, it's dreary. You maybe just stay in bed all day today, and that's fine. You can have some bah humbug days, but just don't get stuck there. When you feel like you're struggling so much, you can't find the will or the cause to motivate you to get out or do something. Maybe you need to speak to a counselor, maybe your doctor, maybe he can help you. We all need help from time to time, and we need to rely on the professionals that are out there, whether it's counselors or doctors or a support team, just somebody to ask for help.
Can you give us any pointers for this time of year when you're trying to help a grieving loved one deal with what they're dealing with during the holidays?
You may not agree with the way that your loved one is handling everything this year. It's heavy. It's not the same without their loved one. Maybe I work with many families, and I am blessed and privileged to hear the fact that they've been married 65 years, 55 years. That's a lifetime. And now they're not there. And now family comes in and tries to get things back the way they were. It's not going to happen. We're forever changed. And so we need to be supportive of the person and the way they choose to handle the holidays. Maybe offer them some help in maybe baking or cleaning or preparing something, or maybe you can offer to decorate, but listen to them in the way that they're choosing to celebrate this year. Don't try to make things as they once were. Maybe even offer to help with, again, some holiday shopping or planning or what you might want to accomplish. Maybe invite them to a religious or a school function, something like that. You can always drive yourself and tell them, hey, listen, I'm going to meet you in the parking lot. How about 6:30? We meet there. Drive yourself when possible. I keep going back to that, but we do things sometimes without thinking. People mean well. They say, yeah, I'm going to come over and pick you up and this and that. And then you get there and it gets awkward. You want to leave. And it's just, you don't want to ruin their time. I guess the last thing I can share maybe is you're in charge of your grief. Grief is unique unto ourself. We can't cookie cut it. Just because we all experience grief and loss, it doesn't work the same for each and every one of us. So respect the one going through grief and help them by being there for them. I heard a quote, and I can't remember who said it, who wrote it, but he said, a grieving loved one, a person may not always remember what you said, but they will always remember how you made them feel. So it's important to be in the moment with people, be a support team to them, your family, your loved ones. Don't try to change anything that they're doing this year or don't want to do. It's up to them to express how they want to manage their grief this year.
So, Chaplain, is there anything you want to share with our listeners on how to contact grief services?
Yes. I would tell everyone that altman.com has, if you go onto the website, it has all the different services that Altman offers. And there is a grief. You can click on the word grief, and it'll take you to another page that has all the information from our newsletter to all the support groups. Her name is Beth, and I can tell you her number is 330-479-4835. And Beth is in charge of our grief services here at Altman. And she'd be able to direct you or tell you what we have available. We do have support groups, and that's very important. We all need support from once in a while, but we're made and created. We need each other. Everybody needs somebody. So don't disregard your grief. Don't try to put it in a box and push it aside. We all need somebody, and Altman's here for you. So just click onto the website and go to grief.
I think we're out of time, aren't we, Brad? Okay. Thank you to our guest, Chaplain Joseph Kampert. If you suspect you have a medical issue, please contact your healthcare provider. Thanks to Altman Health System and our listeners for joining us on Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy. Have a healthy week. We'll see you again right here on Friday. Next News Talk 1480 WHBC. Thank you very much, Chaplain.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Have a good day.
You too.
Thank you.
And a good Thanksgiving.
See, that's what I was going to say.
Hello.
We're on the same page. Blessings.
Okay. Take care.
Yep.